Yeah.
Here we go. Hi, my name is Jordan Anderson, and today I will be giving my persuasive speech on the funding of Planned Parenthood. Imagine a world full of privileged older men telling women what we can and cannot do with our bodies. A world where women are scared and feel vulnerable to the world. With Planned Parenthood, women have been able to go about their lives, protect themselves from any harm and any sexual transmitted disease, receive health care and support benefits, and find a place where they can be protected. Defunding Planned Parenthood would create an unstable environment for women as well as an unsafe environment for the LGBT community, as well as there would be limited access to people who do not have health care. Actions have been taken by higher power to defund Planned Parenthood and all that it has to offer to the public. But let me tell you why this would only cause harm to our society. Taking away actions of free services done by Planned Parenthood will cause a scare to the public. In this speech, I will be persuading you guys on why Planned Parenthood should, under no circumstances, be defunded. Without further ado, let's get started. See, the first problem that we have here is that men of higher power are trying to make these decisions without telling women and letting them pass laws that will cause them to have harm with their bodies. They are trying to pass laws that will change the way our society is functioning and have no idea what damage it'll cause in the future. In fact, a lot of people have no idea on how Planned Parenthood actually works. So for starters, I will be explaining the basic concepts of Planned Parenthood. For example, we will say that Monica has decided to go into Planned Parenthood. She wants to get on birth control, get an STD test, as well as an HIV test, and a pap smear to make sure that she is safe. These actions will be performed by the Planned Parenthood Health Center, and they will then submit a claim to the Medicaid for all of the services that have been provided. Medicaid will then reimburse Planned Parenthood services for their service. The state Medicare will then be sent a bill to the federal government, and the Medicaid will reimburse to make sure that the provider of the federal government gets the bill. Now that we have a basic understanding of how Planned Parenthood works, we'll go ahead and get into how they receive their funding. 1/3, or about 34% of government taxes will go towards Planned Parenthood funding. This includes around $534 million a year spent on Planned Parenthoods located all around the United States, according to PlannedParenthood.org. The first thing that comes to mind of many when I say Planned Parenthood is abortions. But Planned Parenthood has way more to offer than just safe abortions. The variety of services that Planned Parenthood has to offer has expanded over the course of the years. Some of these services include STD and HIV testing, providing birth control, transgender healthcare services, condoms, and the day after pill, and many more. Along with these options, Planned Parenthood also provides young teens a place for them to talk in an open, free space, provides them with shelters for those kids who have been kicked out of their houses and those who are too old to join the foster care system, and they also provide proper sex education. Since sexual education has been removed from most school systems, a lot of young kids have not been properly informed about the risks of having unsafe sex. Unsafe sex does not just mean that there's a chance of you getting pregnant. There's a lot of other risks that come into factor as well. Possibilities of getting sexually transmitted disease as well as HIV are even at risk to some young teens that may not even understand the severity of it. Planned Parenthood is a safe place where teens can go about and be educated, but also be provided the resources such as condoms and testing to ensure that they are not putting themselves or anyone else at risk. As quickly as Planned Parenthood as it has evolved, it has left me to wonder, how did this even come to mind? When and where was the first Planned Parenthood facility? In 1916, in Brownsville, New York, the first Planned Parenthood was funded on the idea that women should be informed of anything they need to live a strong, healthy, and fulfill their lives. As we are now a whole century away from the starting point, we can see the changes and the effects that Planned Parenthood has made along the way. Today, Planned Parenthood affiliates more and operates more than 600 health centers across the United States. Planned Parenthood is also the nation's leading provider and advocate of high-quality, affordable health care for women, men, and young people. Planned Parenthood is also the nation's largest provider of sexual education, providing and informing young teenagers the way to become sexually active and provide them with the resources, all according to PlannedParenthood.org. Another service that Planned Parenthood provides is screening for cancer. There are many different types of cancers, especially ones of the reproductive system. If found early enough, cancer could even be treated. As a support group goes, there are numbers of Planned Parenthood. There's a number on the Planned Parenthood page that allows for anyone to have access to talk to someone 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. This number gives anyone the ability to talk to someone, especially when you feel as though you aren't comfortable enough talking to your family or friends about any of your problems. As the care that Planned Parenthood has evolved over the past 100 years and have had many different aspects to both men and women and those who don't have access to healthcare, we can see how much it is important that we keep the funding and continue the flowing of Planned Parenthood. But unfortunately, not everyone is in agreement of how we should keep funding for Planned Parenthood. There are other authority figures that want to change the way Planned Parenthood is being funded. My first thought to this problem would be to let men step into female shoes for the day in order for them to understand what it's like to live as a female, in order for them to see the changes in the views of how we understand and how scary it is for women to be living in today's society. Unfortunately, that is not the case. The best way to ensure that women are being equally represented in the world would be for them to have an equal number of men and women of higher power. For as long as I've been alive, the power of government positions have always been predominantly male. But I can only imagine the empowerment and changes that women would bring and how much of an inspiration they would be and role models for the 20th century young teens. With only 19.3% female representation in the House of Representatives and 23% in the Senate, the United States ranks 103rd in the world of being in terms of women representation in national legislations, according to politicalgendergap.com. Unfortunately, this is not enough. To create a larger diversity, women of higher political positions would have to be encouraged, and women would have to step into politics more. Over the years, women have noticed that politics is not only just for men, as they have dominated this field hundreds of years before, and they are learning that their voices do matter and that they are being heard. Without a voice, we would possibly be facing the problem of losing all funding of Planned Parenthood. Talk about defunding Planned Parenthood has been talked about for time and time to come, but fortunately we have not faced any sort of loss yet. Many different actions would have to be taken in place first in order to pass the defunding of Planned Parenthood. To lose this, they would take years, and it would take a long time before any detrimental effects would arise. As I have presented you with many different facts about Planned Parenthood, it is my goal that you can see why we should keep the funding of Planned Parenthood. Women should have the right and the choice to do what they like with their bodies, as well as the option of having Planned Parenthood not only makes women feel safer, but also creates a safer environment to deal with different political issues. Not only can Planned Parenthood protect women, but also provide safe healthcare for those who do not have it all over the country. I leave you to think to yourself personally, if you're ever in need and help and feel like you need to talk to someone, or you can't afford the necessary items to secure your safety, go to your Planned Parenthood near you, because there will always be someone to talk to. Thank you.
That was good.